name is Shon, and I specialize working with African American or women with of color with trauma, stress, and anxiety. I'm Richton Park, Illinois.
And then describe briefly your life in terms of single, married, kids. Like, what does life look like for you?
Okay, so I'm married. Me and my husband have been together 24 years coming up in December. I have a son who has autism, and he also has epilepsy. So we have a special needs son, and our life is, pretty hectic, but, we're managing,
And what was your marketing strategy before boot camp?
My marketing strategy was null and void. Somehow I thought that, maybe the clients will just trickle in, and I'll tell my mom, who'll tell her friend, and then I thought, I would get some clients, but it was non-existent, really it was.
Mm-hmm. And what were the unique skills or strengths that you realized that you had when you started going through boot camp and digging into creating a marketing plan for you?
Well, this was one of my hardest things to overcome with marketing because I'm such an introvert. I thought that I would not be able to get out there, do any speaking. It wasn't even on my radar, getting out there and speaking. Social media, I have a love-hate relationship with that. So I didn't think that I would be able to, get over that hump. But I'm surprised that, I've done it. So with boot camp, it actually helped me learn some strategies to get things, kind of written down and done more better than I would have if I was alone.
Mm-hmm. And what does your marketing plan look like today?
Well, let's see. What I'm doing now is focusing more on virtual, therapy because of, the state of everything that's happening now. I'm focusing more on the caregivers and the breadwinners, so to speak, getting out there, trying to get the message out there that there's help, through social media and in person. Can't do in person, but that was my plan before all of this happened.
Yeah, I think that was something I was really struck by when Kelly and I were kind of chatting with you a little bit about speaking today about how even though you're an introvert, because of your special needs son, that you had built all these relationships within the community. And so you started tapping more into those relationships and sharing more about who you were and about what your particular niche was. What was it like when you started tapping into those relationships and sharing more about how you really wanted to work with women of color?
So most of the things that I've done so far is kind of the footwork. I would go to my son's principal. I would have conversations with other mothers who had special needs kids, autism, and other neurodiverse issues going on. And I would, meet people who were totally captivated by the services, that I provide. And that's how I got most of my clients in the beginning. So I would go to small roundtable talks. I would be invited based on my website. And it was so much of, the personal aspect of what I was talking about that kind of reeled people in. And that's actually my favorite part of marketing, talking to people on a personal level.
I mean, that's a powerful thing, right? About niche marketing is that it gives you an opportunity to talk to people on that personal level, like even via your website, that somebody could go like, wow, you're really talking about my experience, or I see myself reflected in my marketing. What are things that you found were really important for you as a woman of color in terms of your marketing plan?
Being relatable. And there's so many levels of trauma. And I thought it was important to, sit down and talk to people about the various levels of trauma and what exactly it can be, thinking that it's so simple. It's not just sex trauma or, those specific traumas that we watch on television. It goes much deeper. And so sitting down with people or even my clients, after talking to them 6-7 months, you realize there's a level of trauma still there that they hadn't even brought up in the beginning. So that's what I think is the most important thing, being relatable and, kind of understanding that there's levels to a person's story and pulling out that language and is an important thing. Yeah.
Well, I think that place of what I'm hearing is that through this work that you'd already done with clients, to pull that out and make sure that that was showing up in your marketing or on your website, so people could go, oh yeah, like
Yes.
I'm not alone in this. I'm not crazy in this. Like this is a real thing and it's valid, and my feelings are valid, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Which is so important. And as you moved your clients to virtual, how has that transition been?
It's been good so far. People are responsive. They're committed to therapy.
So I think that's a real fear that's out there, that, with the transition to virtual practices, that all the clients are going to not get what they need, or they're all going to drop out of therapy. It sounds like you had one client who didn't make the transition, but otherwise.
So far, I think it was the structure of the household. I think there's not an opportunity to have a confidential space, the privacy that the son would need.
And for the people that did stay, why do you think that most of them stayed? All but one stayed. Why do you think the rest of them stayed with you?
I think that my work, the quality of work, speaks for itself, and I think people appreciate my services. And I really do think that, when you talk about integrating outcomes into the practice, I get a lot of positive feedback, and it's because they appreciate, the services. So most clients didn't give me a problem about staying on board with the virtual. So I think, it kind of, speaks for itself when it comes to what I try, to do for them.
Thank you, Shon.